unmute the microphones. All right, welcome to the Choppin It Up show. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you today. Today is March 20th, 2022, 3 o'clock on the West Coast and 6 o'clock on the East Coast. We appreciate all those listening live, whether through iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Player FM. We got a whole bunch of them out there now, so you guys can consume our content or wherever you are on the interwebs. This podcast is brought to you by Blockband Music and Publishing, blockusup.com, SAY Marketing and Promotions, Kevin Peete of ReMax Patriots, Math-Sci Tutoring and Educational Services, Lamik's Video, Bull City Music School, Prodigious Music Concepts LLC, and the HBCU Recruitment Center. So thank you very much to all our beloved sponsors to help us do our thing. And we have another great guest on the show today, the one and only Ricardo Reese. How you doing in this podcast, sir?
Man, it's great to be here, my friend. Thanks for inviting me. It seems strange being on the other side since you already know we have ours that we do. So it's kind of different being on the other side.
Right.
But I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, team. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that. That's a little. You gave a little teaser right there, dog. And so yeah, and we'll understand. I might say team, a dog, and so we'll probably get into that a little bit for all the people that don't know what that is, and so we'll get that out there.
Okay.
So just the format real quick, we'll talk about, I ask you the first half of questions, and then in the middle of our podcast, we'll do all the commercials for our sponsors, and then we'll come back, and then I will ask you the rest of the questions for the show.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Team, where are you from?
Actually, I grew up in Denver, Colorado, in the greater Colorado area. That's where I'm from.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you. Okay, so is your family and your parents, are they from that area?
No, my dad, mom, and they all grew up in Washington, D.C., the Maryland area. So at a very young age, we moved out west to Colorado.
Okay. So the DMV, as our people belovedly call it. Okay, all right. So that's what's up. You're from that area. Now, what would you say? When did you get into music? Like, what was your first instrument?
Well, that's a good question. So my dad, he played guitar, right? So I was always around him playing guitar, but I said, you know what? I think I want to do something with drums, right? And when I was getting ready to go into middle school, the band teacher comes down and meets you and introduces you. And he was like, hey, well, we got a full concert band. We got choir, we got the orchestra if you're interested in that. And in the concert band, you got a wide variety of instruments to choose from. So I think what I was attracted to, I was like, yeah, I really don't really want to learn too many notes or too many fingerings, so I'll stick to the drums.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, we can do that. And it started with that. And, when you're in middle school, you go get that, I call it that starter kit. And back then it was that CB700 snare drum case and the snare drum and the bell kit. And you got lugging all that around. And that's how I got started in it.
Okay. That's what's up, man. That's funny because I kind of had a similar thought, like all them fingerings and all that stuff like that. But my dad played the trumpet.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wanted to do that. But then I started, meeting some drummers and they was like, man, we got all them rudiments. And I was like, what's that? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's difficult in its own right. So that's what's up. Now, what would you say was your first HBCU band experience?
Wow. Okay. My first HBCU band experience. And now bear in mind, growing up in Colorado, being a part of, marching bands, it really kind of turned me off because I was like, man, all this, I'm standing out here practicing hours and upon hours, and it's really taken away from what I really wanted to do, which was I'm a drum set player, right?
Right.
Drum set and, classical percussion. So that was my interest. And I was just noticing, man, I'm doing this marching band thing and, we're out here and, nobody's showing us love or anything like that. And this is, in high school. And I'm like, my sophomore year in high school, I was like, yeah, I'm done with marching altogether at that point. So lo and behold, it gets to my senior year. And I tell my dad, Dad, I think I really want to go to school on the East Coast. So I let my dad know that and talked to my grandmother and my grandfather who were living in Virginia at the time. And they said, hey, come on back. We'll be more than happy to help you out, let you finish up your senior year in high school here. So I moved back and stayed with them. And lo and behold, here it is my senior year again. And got to get in the marching band. I was like, wow, okay. So I do it. And my first experience was um, my band teacher at the time, Dennis Sneed at the time, he was like, hey, let's go and check out Virginia State. Let's go and check out Virginia State. And I was always like, okay, let us know. I wasn't really too pressed on doing that at that point. And so one day, homecoming, we go down there to Virginia State. I'm with my grandmother, my grandfather. I'm with them and the band director. And this was back in 95, right?
Nice. Nice.
95. So things were a little bit different back then. You still had all the vendors out there. It was just a massive party, right? And I saw the halftime show. I was in the stands watching the halftime show. I saw the drum line and I said, I will be there the next semester. Actually, I said, I want to be there next month. And
Right.
I'm still a senior in high school. It was just an awesome sight. I had never seen anything like that before. And I said, I will be there next year, next semester, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was my freshman year at Virginia State. And I went back home and I had applied to like Oberlin Music Conservatory and everything. I was looking at them and I was looking at, Hampton and some other places. Immediately, as soon as I walked in the door, everything got slid to the side and I said, I'm going to Virginia State University. I will be in that marching band next semester. That's how that happened.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. Okay. Um. So yeah. So now you're in Denver. What high school did you go to?
I went to a couple. I went to a school called Heritage High School in Littleton, Colorado, and then I went to John F. Kennedy High School in Denver.
Okay. Okay. And did you march? You said you marched there in high school,
My freshman year, I did marching band.
right?
Right,
And
I
then
did.
you
I
went
was a
back,
drumline,
and then you went back your senior year.
and then I moved to Virginia. And my senior year is when I picked back up marching again.
Okay. 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 Bet. So yeah, like you said, you had reached out to because your grandparents were still in that area.
Yeah, still
Uh,
lived in Virginia. Yep,
right. Right. So that helped. That definitely helps when you have some
yep,
family. Because what's funny is since both of us live out west and we don't have
yeah.
HBCUs out here, that's always kind of how I started the show. That's always been like a interesting part for me where it's like how do you build the exposure or how do you get HBCUs closer to folks out west, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
um,
you bring up a good point, Joe. And actually, back then, we didn't have like things like YouTube now, so it was pretty much word of mouth. And the only time
yep.
you actually, and this was my experience, the only time I actually saw anything HBCU related was right around. Everybody knows it, right around. I think it's Thanksgiving, the classic
The
with
Bayou
Southern and
Classic, yep.
yeah, Southern and Grambling. But that was just a small snippet, halftime show, and then you don't hear nothing else.
Right, right. And it's cool now too because there's I saw that with all the streaming services and all that they're
Yeah,
starting to show more of the band. So like this year, I think it was the Celebration Bowl with the SWAC and the MEAC. There was like a channel you could go to and you could actually see the halftime show. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So
and
like it's evolving, and plus like as you know, BET used to show us like back in the day. So it's evolving, but at least we got what we doing now, which is what I'm gonna lead into a little bit later,
yeah,
as far as what you're doing. So that helps out, the folks out west. All right, bet. So you kind of lead it in. You led into already where you went to school. So
yeah.
was that
Virginia State.
did you have like a list of schools, or other than that experience, was that pretty much it as far as where you were going?
Check this out, Joe. I had a list of schools, but they all got wiped away. They all got wiped away. But after I went to homecoming that time, I said Virginia State. I will be there. I will be there next semester, and for sure I was.
Okay, okay, all right. That's what's up, man. So now you move to Virginia. You go to Virginia. Where? What city is that? Is that in Richmond? Where is Virginia?
Yes, in Petersburg,
Okay, okay, all right. So you are in. So what year was that? Was your first year?
'96.
96. Okay, so you
Yeah.
finished high school 96 then?
I finished '96. What's that? Spring '96.
Yeah.
Spring '96 high school.
Oh,
So fall '96, I was enrolled in that fall semester at Virginia State.
okay, so we the exact same age because I'm
Yeah.
96 too from high school. I don't think I knew that
Okay.
though. Okay, bet. So you I don't know if it's the correct term anymore. Crab 96. I mean,
Well,
maybe it was, you know.
you know what I think back when we didn't use that term, and I think what helped um, perpetuate that term was our favorite movie Drumline that
Okay.
everybody talks about, and that was my experience because before then, hey, you just incoming freshman.
Right.
That's what that was.
Right. And that's funny you say that because in 96 I went to Smith and we were white shirts. Like they
Yeah,
didn't use that term. But then when I went to Jackson State, boy, it was,
it was a different type of
oh
setup.
boy, it was off the hook down there. I'll just say that. So
Yeah,
so yeah, so you freshman 96
yeah.
at Virginia State. And you marched there. What would you say was your first or was your most memorable experiences? Or and if you have a couple, that's cool too. But what would you say was your most memorable experience marching at Virginia State?
Joe, there were so many, and you and I both know this. So for anybody who marched in the HBCU band, every day is a comedy show. Every day something is happening.
Right.
Because we're around. We eat with our friend, we eat with the people in the band. We're roommates with the people in the band. Party with these folks. We're around them hours on the end. So there's so many memories. But I think that a couple that stick out to me. One, we played a school. I can't remember the school. It was either Fayetteville or Livingstone. We went down there, and the hospital had let the kids out. They had some medical conditions, and they were able to come to the games. And as we were marching by, one of the kids, I could hear him and say, "Hey, you had fast hands." And that was my one memorable because he was out there in his wheelchair and everything, and he was just enjoying the time. That was one,
Ah,
right? Um, the next one was, and Joe, the band is nothing to play with, but back then it was a different story. So we're sitting there getting ready to march down to our practice field, and lo and behold, there's a track meet on the campus,
wow.
and I don't think the track meet knew that. So we're marching down. We're marching down to the field, and they decided to test the band, and lo and behold, they tried to run through, and that just
Oh
never ends. That just didn't end well.
no.
So you had folks, man, you messed up my time. I'm trying to win this race. It just got out of control. But I think my most memorable memory is this. Is like, Joe, we marched all that time, 4 years, right?
Mm.
And we don't get to enjoy a homecoming, right? Because we're marching.
Yep.
So by the time homecoming happens, the festivities are gone. We're in the game. We don't get to enjoy things. But I think my most memorable experience is my last game marching, right? And you remember your last game marching, and then after that, you see the band happening, marching, and you stay around for the next homecoming, and you say, "Wow, this is what this feels like."
Right.
You're looking at it from the outside and be like, "Man, this is what it's weird, actually. It's just weird to be on the outside and just looking into what you were a part of.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, but a sad thing at the same time."
Yeah, yeah, I totally feel you, man. When I think of homecoming, I think of like sleep. Like, cause of course, you out late the night before the practice, and then our homecoming games were always like early, cause of
Yeah,
like the parade. And then we marched, we did the parade, and then you got to the stadium, and then I remember they used to give us these box lunches. You know
there
what I'm
again,
saying?
you get that box, that white chicken box.
Right, right, right. With a
Everybody,
sandwich or something and an
yeah, so,
apple.
yeah, something in that box, some type of box for lunch. But I think that, speaking of homecoming, man, the whole week is spectacular, really,
Yeah,
and it
buddy.
leads up to that one day. And for 4 years, you're always missing that one day because you're tied into the band, you're tied into the parades, you're tied into all the festivities dealing with the band, and then next thing you know, you graduate, and then now you're an outsider looking in, and you're like, wow, this is what it feels like.
Right, right. Let me give a quick shout out to the people in the chat room. Give you a quick round of applause. I always like to shout out the people in the chat room.
Yeah,
Somebody asked, was it Scarfinger? Scarfinger Hoodrich asked if I had if I said something about my Hampton experience. Did I tell? Nah. I had to tell you that offline, team, about Hampton, because yes, I guess that was the first. That was actually technically the first place I went. But yeah,
right.
well, yeah, I have to tell you about that.
Okay,
But
offline.
yeah, I have to tell you about that. And shout out to Lamik's videos, one of my favorite commercials. And we'll be actually getting to that here in a second. So shout out to everybody in the chat room. We always appreciate you guys being there and commenting and everything.
Yeah,
So let's go ahead. We talked about your experience there. And then we're going to take our commercial break, and then we're going to get into the rest of the interview. Again,
yeah.
you guys can send your chat messages. If you have anything to ask Ricardo, go ahead and put us in the chat, and then I'll read it. We'll go ahead and mute our microphones, and you're chopping it up on the Marching Podcast Network with Ricardo Reese. We'll be right back after words from the sponsors.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
The source for fair and factual information on your favorite college bands, blockusup.com. Well-written articles, in-depth band performance analysis, helpful resources for band directors, fun band-related topics, and exclusive interviews with some of today's brightest and most talented leaders of college marching bands. Visit us at blockusup.com, the meeting place for band fans and band directors.
Hello, everyone. This is Joe Beard from the Marching Podcast. Is your school, club, or organization looking for high quality decorated apparel to outfit your students, staff, club, or team? Tired of the same old boring white t shirt? Are you in charge of the upcoming fundraiser or special event but don't really have time to troll the internet for ideas or compare products? SAY can help with design and product selection. We can even assist with ideas on conducting an effective fundraising program. SAY can help you save time and get your message heard. So call 1-800-975-3156. SAY Marketing and Promotions.
Give your brand a voice.
If you're thinking about buying or selling real estate in the Southern California area, please contact Kevin Peete of ReMax Patriots. He will meet and exceed all of your needs. You can contact Kevin at 951-858-5942. That's 951-858-5942. Or you can email Kevin at kpsaleshomes@sbcglobal.net. That's KP, his initials, Kevin Peete, KP Sales Homes, all one word, at sbcglobal.net. Thanks again.
You want the best barbecue around? Smokey-O's coming to your town. Ribs, chopped beef, baked potatoes too. Smokey-O's know what's good for you. You want the best barbecue around? Smokey-O's coming to your town. Ribs, chopped beef, baked potatoes too. Smokey-O's know what's good for you. Smokey-O's, come check us out.
Providing online or one-on-one instruction for high school and college students in algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus, physics, and chemistry. Visit Math-Sci-Tutor.com. That's MATHSCI tutor, TUTOR.com to schedule a session or contact Michael Okoro at michael@mathscitutor.com. So again, visit mathscitutor.com, mathsci-tutor.com to schedule a session or contact Michael Okoro at michael@mathscitutor.com, providing online and one-on-one instruction for high school and college students in algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus, physics, and chemistry. Math-Sci-Tutor.com.
Do you like marching bands? Do you love band videos? Go subscribe to Lamik's Videos YouTube channel. Lamik's Videos YouTube channel has the largest archive of unbiased marching band videos on the internet. iPad giveaways, AirPod giveaways, and more. One more thing. Do you like this video? Prove it, motherfucker. Hit the like button right now. Hit that like button and subscribe to Lamik's Videos right now.
Bull City Music School is the modern approach to music. Enroll today and experience one of our virtual classes, and I can personally say that they are great. My daughter is a student at Bull City Music School learning the piano, and her teacher, Janetta Powell Hopkins, is doing an outstanding job. You can call Bull City Music School at 919-423-5701. That's 919-423-5701. Or you can go to their website at bullcitymusicschool, all one word.com. That's bullcitymusicschool, all one word.com. Bull City Music School, the modern approach to music. The HBCU Recruitment Center is the premier hub for increasing awareness and student interest in pursuing a college education at one of our nation's historically black colleges and universities. Founded by Dr. Tamisha Price Brock and Mr. Ricardo Reese, the HBCU Recruitment Center is headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada, and provides educational consulting, degree and institution matching, and educational workshops for students and families. By forging student partnerships with key institution officials, the HBCU Recruitment Center will be the blueprint and catalyst for increased recruitment, enrollment, retention, and successful matriculation of BIPOC students at our nation's historically black colleges and universities. For more information, visit our website at www.hbcurecruitmentcenter.org. That's hbcurecruitmentcenter, all one word.org. Or you can give us a call, 1-800-676-1136. The HBCU Recruitment Center. Prodigious Music Concepts, LLC, founded by Dr. Tamisha Price Brock and Mr. Ricardo Reese. Prodigious Music Concepts, LLC offers comprehensive music instruction, education consulting, and professional development services for K-12 educators and administrators, and college university music majors, faculty, staff, and administrators. Headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada, our services are offered in both face to face and online settings, with individual and group services tailored to your needs. Contact us today at 470 771 9447. That's 470 771 9447. Or visit us on the web at www.pmconcepts.org. Prodigious Music Concepts, where we are musically building a better tomorrow.
My name is Bill Campbell from Wexford, Pennsylvania, 1997 graduate of the Pennsylvania State University and 2003 graduate of the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Currently manager of the Marshall Township Municipal Sanitary Authority, and you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
Hello, this is Dr. Carl Dares from Vanderbilt University, a proud Bulldog from Alabama A&M, and you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
Hey, this is Kennedy, and you're listening to the Marching Podcast. Hi, this is Nessa. You need to do what you podcast.
All right, we're back. We can unmute our microphones. Welcome back to the show. All right, so in the chat, Ricardo, we had a couple questions.
Yeah.
So this from my man Scarfinger Hood Rich. He says, what do you think it would take to get the Central Virginia schools some numbers? Virginia State and Virginia Union have good bands, but they've always been so small for a while. What do you think it would take to get their numbers up?
Wow, that's a really good question. So it hasn't always been that way, right? So we gotta remember the region of the country that those schools are in, like Virginia State, some of the other schools in Virginia, Maryland even. You just gotta think about that area, and for numbers to be up, in that area, I think it really depends on how the recruitment is done. If you're going out there and recruiting in that area, if the schools are just, heavily recruiting in that area, I think that has a big part of it, right? And one thing that I always like to look at is just how much work is being actually done in that process. Mm. So if you see the bands, they look small right now, they haven't always been that way.
Yeah, buddy.
And you really got to think about it. Do we really want all bands to be super large? I mean, it's just not possible for everybody to be large.
Right. And I know a lot of it's too, like just HBCU recruitment as well. Like a lot of our students are, going to, University of Virginia, and they're just going to other schools. I know that plays a part in it.
Well, Joe, you mentioned something that's kind of important. Like you said, students now are going to a lot of different schools. I want to just recap back when you and I marched in the 90s and everything. Even before going to Virginia State, I'd like to just say this. My experience with marching band before I came to Virginia State, it wasn't good. Like the marching bands, the high school bands that I marched with, they were really like, they got treated like the same thing as, they were on the same level as the mascot, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
That really turned me off to the whole situation. But it's a lot of work for just folks just to be out here, not really caring about the hard work that you're putting in. So what I noticed is that when the roles were reversed on the HBCU side of things, right?
Yeah.
So now the HBCU the band is at the top of the list. Yep. And everything now falls below that.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing. But in regards to recruitment, that's a hard thing to do. It's the student is going to pick where they want to go, and there's really not much you can do about that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, I feel the same way. Like the fact that the band pulled in as many people to the school. I mean, because I think a lot of those major schools, man, like, your Dukes and your Alabamas. I think part of it too. That's how they're also pulling students too, is because people seeing them on TV so much. You know what I'm saying? And they're excited about seeing the football team or the basketball team. But just like you,
Right.
man, when I saw, people being excited about the band at some schools, I knew that I wanted to be a part of that. Being a
Yeah.
marching band.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So you take those other schools are PWIs, right? Like you said, they see folks on, you see the athletics on
Yeah.
the team, right?
Yeah.
But when you switch over to our side, the HBCU side of things, what you don't see is that, hey, I'm gonna go check the band out, and then the stadium empties out to wait till the band festivities afterwards, or
Right.
you see folks coming in there before the game. And I'll tell you this, my experience at Virginia State, the drumline we owned the third quarter. That's how major that was.
Mm-hmm.
We owned the third quarter, and after the game, right? So it was just so much, just so much going on. And the football game, just like you got a whole total package. You see the game, and you got entertained, right?
So and then and then he said he had a troll question. He knows you a drummer, but what do you think? Do you think VSU will ever get some trumpets? So I probably got to do a little.
Hey, bro, I'm a drummer, man. So if they can get them, they got trumpets now. I mean, how many trumpets do we need?
Oh man, that's a good question. Because of course everybody always want a minimum of maybe 20, 25. But when you start kicking that 30 mark, that's when that's oh, okay, we got 30 trumpets or even more than that. You know what I'm saying? That's good too. But
Well, Joe, here's a question. Here's a question for you. And I've done my homework as well. So, like you said before in previous shows, hey man, you went from having 4 trumpets in a section where you went to school to having 40. So I think you can give a better description of what was it like to go from 4 to 40 trumpets.
Fear. Let me tell you, Ricardo, when I was at Smith and it was 4 of us like that, I was scared. The night before games, man, I couldn't sleep. I was always going over my music. You know what I'm saying? It was it was fear. Now some of it was good because it would help me memorize, but I was still in the game, still scared sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Are we cutting through? Which was never. You know what I'm saying? And then when we would let some of the high school students come in and march with us, then I was oh man, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Especially after seeing Jackson State all my life, and then when I went to Jackson State, I saw how we had numbers, but guys were really, really good. You know what I'm saying? So then I was trying to get on their level. I came to Jackson State, dog. I was playing on the wrong mouthpiece. No one had ever told me. I was man, you need to put that mouthpiece away. And then they said my tone was bad. Well, I mean, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So I felt good because I started actually learning how to play the horn. Yeah. But fear, dog. Dog, I was so scared, dog. Them nights at Smith, I was scared. I was man, I'm only 4. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, I always say this, and what's his name who asked that question?
Scarfinger Hood Rich.
Scarfinger Hood Rich. So I will always say this, and you know what? You and I both know about this, man. I'm a strong proponent of members versus men. I don't need a lot of folks.
Right.
I need a strong core group of people, and there you have it.
Yeah. That's what's up, dog. And I feel that way now, but not 96. Not at 8. not at 18 years old, dog. I was scared, dog. All right. So yeah, he kind of went on a little bit more. He said how when his daughter was in the band, he tried to teach her the VSU snare entry cadence, due to the basics being a 16th note pattern. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then he said there's 30 people in the whole band other than the drum line. Yeah, I know what you mean. So that's what's up. So yeah, if y'all have any other questions, you go ahead and send them in. So you at Virginia State now, picking
Yeah.
back up where in your timeline. What did you want to major in, and then in turn, like what did you want to do when you finished Virginia State?
Oh man, so I went in straight as a percussion music major, performance major
Oh,
actually.
nice. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, straight music, and there's a difference. There's music education, and then there's music performance. I went in on the music performance side.
Okay. Okay. And then what did you want to do when you got out?
Bro, here's the funny thing. Like when I walked across that stage, I got my degree. I sat in my seat, and I was like, now what? I was like, now what? It's over.
Right.
But with that performance degree, you pretty much just getting out there hitting the road. You got to make things happen. So I graduated. I hung around for a couple months after that, and then I moved out to Las Vegas, where I started developing myself out here as a musician and running my own bands and everything, learning a lot about business and music, dealing with music just in general.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, team. I think when I talked to you on the phone, that's like how we met.
Yeah,
But yeah, like, and I had realized that you've been out here for a minute, like for
21.
yeah, you've been out here for a while. So, you definitely acclimated, as they say.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. So, so now you're out here, and I think it kind of opens the door up to like our next part of the conversation, where you were out in Denver for a while, so you kind of knew what it was like being out west.
yes,
So I'll first ask you then about your podcast. You are a co-host. It's a couple of y'all
yeah,
with HBCU Drumline Talk.
yes.
How did that formulate? Like how did that start? What was going through your mind? Tell me about how that started and how that's been rolling ever since.
Yeah, for sure. Good question. So, a lot of bad things happen during this pandemic, right? Things lead back to this 2-year pandemic that we're just coming out of, right? So during this time, I always joke with folks, hey, look, if you didn't put something together on paper and develop it during that time, you missed it. You missed it,
Word.
right?
Word.
So what happened was I was sitting down and I thought, man, there's so many HBCUs out here and with so many different drum lines, and we get to see them, but nobody's really talking about their, like talking to their specific drum lines about, hey, what do you actually do at the school? So I needed a co-host, right? And I reached out to a really good friend of mine. We marched together. We all know him as Elijah Powell, EP the Great. He's my co-host. And I shot him the idea, and I said, hey, would you like to go in on this with me? We can really get this thing going. And he said, yeah, I'm all down with it. And Joe, man, the first episode we did, I was so nervous. It took some time. I spent, like you said, you're up all night, wondering if it's going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You do that first episode, and with so much planning, and the next thing you know, you have audio issues on the first one. And you're like, oh man. and then it turned out really good. So then we kept it going. And now it's rolling. Now it's really rolling. But the whole idea was to give folks who don't know anything about HBCU drum lines, who don't know anything about, the HBCU culture. It's not for us per se. It's to give these folks who, hey, I may be interested in going to an HBCU. I may be interested in playing in an HBCU drumline, but I don't know anything about that. What our podcast does is it gives you the idea to talk. Well, we're talking to the instructor. They're laying down, hey, this is what we expect when you come here. This is what we do. So now a student who's up in Alaska, now a student who's up in Montana that looks like us, now they got a good idea of what's really going on. Now they got more opportunity just to see more than one HBCU drumline outside of Southern Grambling or your big schools.
Right. And that's essentially like why I wanted to start this podcast too. I just wanted to do something to kind of get the name out, and we're thankful for the technology. We can have YouTube and we can start sharing stuff out. And so now it's a lot of like podcasts now. You're the only drum one, I believe, though.
Well, there are some other ones out there. Like I said, I will always say this. There's some other candy stores out there as well. I think what we do is we want to focus on everyone, right? It doesn't matter.
Their HBCU drum podcasts.
Yeah, there's some other talk
Oh
shows out there
wow.
that
Okay.
talk about HBCU drum lines as well. I think, but like I said, we want to specifically talk to the instructors, really get to know that type of program. And the benefit is, it's a great networking tool because I never thought I would be talking to these folks.
Right.
I never thought I would be, outside of this. There would be no need for me to talk to anybody from, Grambling. I didn't march there. So
Right.
What affiliation did I have with that? I marched for Virginia State on their drum line. So, but the good thing is it put me in contact with other people who do the same thing, and it's a like conversation. The conversations are relative.
Okay, that's what's up, dog. Let me give you a round of applause for that. Because I remember, man, when I started, it wasn't like nobody out there. Christy Walker, who did the fifth quarter, the forum. I remember she started a podcast, and that was like the only one that I found. It was about 11, 12 years ago, and so now. I mean, you just put me on something. I thought you were the only HBCU drum. I know a lot of folks are out there talking. It's a lot, and it's a lot talking about HBCU bands. But yeah, I didn't know that.
There's some other folks out there.
Okay, so then I have to ask you then, what would you say has been your most memorable experience with the podcast so far?
I think the first one. There's two. I think the first one because it was so much, man. It was so much leading up to it, and I was nervous. You do the first one, you wonder if everything is going to turn out all right, and then once you get it done, you're like, okay, well, how am I going to edit this?
Right.
How am I going to make it look presentable and put out there, right? I think the next memorable one was we had a conversation with a guy named Ralph Hardiman, right? Mm-hmm. And Ralph Hardiman is, he's in the DCI world. He is that guy, right?
Wow. Okay.
Ralph Hardiman, he's got his own line of drumsticks. The Ralph Hardiman sticks, they are the drumsticks. If you haven't put your hand on these sticks, I don't know. It's just hard not to play on these sticks, right? Mm-hmm. But here's a guy who's like world fame, Hall of Fame in the DCI world. And here it is that he's the only drumstick that I use when it comes to marching. But just to know that he's a person of color, he's black.
Right. Okay.
And a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up, man. And you actually bring up something, and then of course with the time about like the whole DCI, because I feel like it's always different with drummers. You know what I'm saying? I think it always comes down to like technical skills and all that stuff. But with you guys, like a lot of stuff's different. So we may have to have another conversation digging deeper into the percussion part about that. Scarfinger replied again. I believe he's checked out the show. The SWAC versus the MEAC conversation was good.
Yeah.
Okay. He said now he just dislikes SWAC lines other than just hating. All right, you know what I'm saying? All right, Scarfinger, let me go ahead.
But I will say this, Joe. I will say what we do is we cover all bases, right?
Yep, you do.
We cover whether it's SWAC, CIAA, MEAC, we cover it all. So so it's a good opportunity to speak to folks from everywhere.
Right. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. All right. So that's outstanding. So you guys make sure you go follow HBCU Drumline Talk. I know they're on YouTube. So go ahead and check that. I'm sure you could put it in the search and find it. Also, you are also one of our sponsors. That help us kind of get this thing going along. And you got two companies. So I wanted to ask you about that and how you got that going. Now, the premiere of both Prodigious Music Concepts, LLC, and the HBCU Recruitment Center, that was first And you know what? Now I'm thinking about. Let me give you a round of applause. That first started with our beloved National Signing Day for marching bands. So I know that we always reach out and try to get, again, more of the exposure for marching bands out there, and try to, show the world about students that are selecting HBCUs to go march in the fall. And this year, I think we got the most attention with it because your two companies helped sponsor it. And then Tamisha was on the show with me, and she's also helping out the students now. So I'm looking forward to doing it this year. And so it's coming up already,
Yes.
April already. I always try to do it like into April, around that time. So that's coming up pretty soon. So I want to ask you then, how did Prodigious Music Concepts LLC and the HBCU Recruitment Center, how did that start? What was the process in it? Just tell us how those things got to be.
Yeah. Starts out with an idea, right? So you put that idea in, and Tamisha and I, we both came together, and she's on the music education side of things, right? And that's just what she does in regards to music consulting and helping students pass this music practice test. I think that's really great. I'm on the music performance side. So one day, as we were sitting down talking, we're like, hey, it'd be great. Why don't we just, combine the two and come up with Prodigious Music Concepts as a whole, which services all the needs, right? The only thing I do is really just focus on total percussion lessons, and she focuses on the music education side of things. So that's how they came to be.
Okay. All right.
So after a lot of planning, now the HBCU Recruitment Center, there again, it starts off with an idea. She brought it to me one day and said, hey, look, I have this really great idea. I know it's going to take off, and this is what came to me. And she mentioned it, and I said, you know what? The West Coast, the only how can we service the whole entire West Coast with the idea of boosting enrollment for HBCUs, right? Outside of just the normal college tour. So a lot of planning and, thinking about, the educational consulting, the college prep services, the personalized profile, scholarship search assistance, and, student and family educational service. These are all the things that we offer with that HBCU Recruitment Center, and think is a really benefit to the West Coast, not just one specific area, but the West Coast just in general.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it helps nationwide, worldwide, to be honest, because when I was like reading over the script that you guys sent, you're really actually, it's helping because, first of all, a lot of, we were blessed, like we had, family, in those areas, and they attended, so like we kind of knew about HBCUs, but it's a lot of our students that just don't know about them in general,
right?
And that's just one. But then the other side of it was a lot of students, and I remember this when I was in school, and it's the same. People were saying, "Oh, well, I want to go in nursing, or I want to swim. I want to be on a swim team." It was like, okay, well, what services out there will tell you, okay, well, Morehouse has a swim team, or like, you know what I'm saying, or Tuskegee has a nursing program. Like you guys are actually able to then say, hey, if this is what you aspire to do, these are the schools that can provide it for you.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't have that. I think a lot of people also have stories of, like, they're in high school, and like the counselor at their high school is like, nah, you don't want to go to those schools. Or it's like, I don't know nothing about those schools. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you guys have this service, because it's important, but it's needed. So I'm really glad that you guys started what you're doing for the West Coast. But even if you guys are in New Jersey or wherever you guys are, you make sure that you guys reach out to these companies, because it's really, really important. You guys are doing what needs to be done. So I'm really excited about it.
And I always say this, hey, look, we'll open the door for you.
Right.
We'll open the door. You got to walk through.
Right. And that's all the opportunity. So then let me ask you, because I know you guys just got the ball rolling. Have you had any memorable experiences with the company so far?
Yeah, just the whole start of it, right, has been memorable. From the ideas, just hey, sitting down and really hashing out the ideas and taking the time to make sure it's right. Having that having that business plan set up just right. And anybody knows a business plan has to be redone, 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 and just having the patience. Most important, faith in God. To make things happen, right?
Right, right, right. So you guys got office space too, dog.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, everything is open. We have our own standing free form space.
Okay, okay. And is it like close to where you guys live?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. That's what's up, man. That's very impressive. Let me give you another round of applause for that. And definitely make sure we're getting the word out for that because, like I said, it's exactly what we need for the West Coast, and anything else that you guys need, I definitely be excited to do it.
Yeah.
But also, just nationwide, man. I mean, in St. Louis, I think there's starting to be a little bit more HBCU like influence or excitement in St. Louis and maybe some of those other places. But you guys are doing what needs to happen nationwide. So we definitely want to support your business at all times
Thank you.
in any way we can. And I hope you guys got a whole lot of years of success.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, man. I know around here I'm gonna be trying to do my best to when there's discussions and all that for folks to reach out to you as well.
Yes.
In any capacity. So that's great. That's great. So we're getting towards the end of the interview, and let me go ahead and give you another round of applause. I really appreciate your time. So I want to ask you, and then please make sure you pub the businesses and the podcast. But do you have anything in closing that you want to say? Any advice that you have to students? Anything else that you would like to say before we close out the podcast?
Well, I just want to say, Joe, first of all, thank you for inviting me on to come on and just chat with you. It's been an experience here. I enjoy it. And for our students out there, if you got a goal that if you want to accomplish, just set your mind to it. Just set your mind to it and just make sure you have your priorities in order to get those goals accomplished. Like someone always told me, and I live to this day, is a goal is nothing unless you put a deadline to it. So.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Let me give you another round of applause. So you guys make sure, when do you guys come on the air for HBCU Drumline Talk?
So the HBCU Drumline Talk, we always have our episodes probably air on like a Monday whenever we do them.
Okay.
Right. So what we do is we go ahead and broadcast out to our folks. Hey, we got an up and coming episode. That's why it's good to subscribe to us so that way you know when the next episode is coming out.
When it comes up, right. Okay, and they can get to you guys on YouTube, correct?
IG, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And then could you also give us your the website and the information for Prodigious Music Concepts and the HBCU Recruitment Center?
Yeah. So the email address is going to be hbcurecruitmentcenter@gmail.com. The website is www.hbcurecruitmentcenter.org.
All right, team. Yeah, I'm just checking out my levels here on my side because I know I got the little music playing on there. So, yeah, dog. Again, really appreciate all your help and all the support, and looking forward to working with you guys in the future. Again, the one and only Ricardo Reese is going to give another round of applause. And And shout out to you, man. And I'll be in touch with you as
Thank
we
you.
working through the show. So for all the people out there at home listening, if you would like to become a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, please contact the show and we'll give you the criteria so we can start to pub your business using our platform. We'll play your commercial. We'll post your website on the blog and help send out information through social media. We want to start to circle the dollars around the craft to help build opportunities for our schools and our communities. So contact us so we can help build your business. That's all the time we have for this podcast. Check out the website and donate what's in your heart to themarchingpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening, and remember, the eye is a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. See you next time.